Hi, welcome to day 19 tarot combos, where we draw two cards and feel into the energies of how those cards play with and against each other. So let's see what's here today. Okay, we have the Page of Cups. This is Spirit Song Tarot. I love the artwork. It's so just, it's like watercolory, very beautiful. But they call the suits something different. So shells are cups. Page of Cups, challenged by, that's interesting. I say that every time. Stop it. Ace of Cups. Well, I think the reason I was saying it's interesting is because oftentimes I think of how like the pages and aces to me have a very they're not the same, but there's a similar vibiness about them. And it's interesting that, okay, well, how might they play against each other? The Page of Cups, it actually says some words here, so I'll read the words, even though I'll do my own reading. It says intuition and inspiration, challenged by the Ace of Cups, happiness and abundance. I wouldn't normally attribute those words, but I can see why this deck decided to say that. But the Page of Cups, let's say that's the primary energy of this youthful, it's kind of vitality, but I think of an emotional vibrance, like emotive and kind of like curious, and they wear their heart on their sleeve in the most beautiful way of like they're a feeler, they're a hugger, it's one of like just joy. What's the word I wanted? Not vibrancy, but it's like what's that word that has a B in it? Maybe it'll come to me. But it's like that, I don't know. But anyway, I think you get the idea. There's like a just very youthful at heart. And the Page of Cups, they call them messengers. So it's this, like, is there something that's coming about? There's something on its way, like a message of a heart opening is coming. And then we have the Ace of Cups, which feels like this emotional opening, like this heart opening, overflowing. There's like no holding back. And that could go either way. I mean, that could be like, finally, I feel like I'm able to access my emotions. Or it could be just like, oh my God, I'm my emotions, I'm always in the back seat. They're taking me for a ride. It feels like a roller coaster. So how might like too much of that emotional body, that emotional self, the feeling self, how might that get in the way of like this? I don't even think that's the right question, because both of these feel like there's something wanting to be like opened, to let out, to finally feel the feels, cry the cries, laugh the laughs. Both of these have that energy about them. So the only thing that is coming to me is like, if there's too much of that, how might that kind of, how like if something's too much and then we kind of shut it down because it's like overwhelming, and that might feel like an immaturity, right? That versus like, okay, something just has to play out. I don't have to make a meaning out of it. It's just an energy. It's an emotion that needs to flow through. That would be like a maturity to that. It's like, I don't have to make a story out of it. I don't have to apologize. I'm just saying, like, listen, this is happening right now. I'm feeling the feels. It's something I need to feel into. I need to let out, whatever. And without shutting it back down. So something feels like if there's an immaturity to this, it might feel like And like an emotional immaturity might be like, oh, that's overwhelming, shut it down. And sometimes we shut things down even harder, close them down harder than they were originally if it feels overwhelming, like we can't handle it. There's something also in the Page of Cups, like the shadow element, if you want to call it that, is like there's like this, in the youthfulness of the heart, we're not yet at that maturity level to like look at things really honestly in our depths, to say like, oh, there's something I need to look at, that I need to be honest with myself about why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, like, or why I behave the way I behave emotionally, like maybe letting emotions get the best of me because I haven't really dealt with something honestly, because those are the things that can come out at unexpected times, right? When we haven't dealt with things, and then we're like emotionally reactionary to those triggers, or whatever you want to call them. So there's something there to be looked at too, that says, well, when things are kind of like, feels like the question is like, what is overwhelming? What tends to come, there's like that pressure release valve kind of concept. Like, if we don't like deal with things like as we go, and then we just wait till things boil over, and then it just causes a lot of mess and chaos, and we need a lot of apologies. So that's because we're not looking at things honestly and kind of as frequently as we need to. And that pressure, I keep doing this because I think of like a pressure cooker, where it's like the steam, we let the steam out a little bit as we go, because both of these have an element of like overflowingness, like of emotion. So if we don't kind of have our own ideas of like, what is it for you that allows you to release a little bit at a time so that you don't blow up? What allows you to look honestly in the depths of your emotions, to understand why they are the way they are, why you feel the way you feel, in an honest way. So, because I think relationally, that's where my head is at right now, is like, in relationship, if we're kind of reactionary to our partner, let's just say in that example, it's usually because there's something we haven't taken the time to like really look at honestly within ourselves. That's how I think anyway. It may not be true for everybody. And once I do look at it honestly and like give myself compassion for whatever it is, could be an old hurt, that I haven't really faced up to or like healed from, and then that keeps playing out in like reactionary ways because I haven't really dealt with it yet. So this feels like there's something that maybe wants to be dealt with, and this can kind of be a reactionary energy when in shadow of like, I didn't do my pressure release work along the way, and now I'm just blowing up and out, and it's overwhelming, and everybody gets a little scared. And a lot of apologies need to be made, and it feels like a cycle, right, if we don't deal with the underlying thing. So what is that for you in your life? Is there something current that feels like, okay, maybe I need to spend some time with to look at it as that pressure release, like to look at it a little bit at a time can be like the thing that prevents it from blowing up again in our faces. For me, hold on, I'm going to pause so I can get a real example. Oh my God. I was only got like half a second to take a sip, and I was like, duh, I have one as of like 2 days ago. This is a little confessional time. And I feel like twofold. One, the reason I do these, there's like threefold, is to try to say a lot with a little and fewer words, which, hey, I'm only halfway through January. it's a process. I'm not doing great yet, but I'm practicing. This is a practice. That's one thing. And I just love tarot. So it's like, hey, let's try to just say a lot with a little. Instead of a huge spread, we just look at what all can we like eke out of these two energies. And then another one is like, God, I love doing shadow work. I love inquiry. I love like bringing to light the things that after 48 years are just freaking ready to be looked at and talked about and let go. It's really a letting go, shedding process. And I love doing that with other people. And I do it in my practice. And I thought, well, God, let's just keep doing it whenever. So I'm like, let's create some videos. So it's a multi-fold process. Well, so part of this is a little confessional time. This is where I was going with that in telling you the background, is because like that, this is part shadow work for me. And that I want it to be that for you if you want to use it that way. So that's why I like to offer up real, practical, lived examples. And part of it's a little confessional because, like, why not be honest at this phase of my life? Because the more I voice my own stuff, it feels like accountability, but even though like no one's holding me accountable, but it feels like truth telling. And that helps me hold myself accountable to keep walking the walk forward instead of like bypassing as much and like all the things. I feel like it's like now's the time. So anyway, that's just a little like meta, hey, this is why. So confessional time, this is real. This just happened the other day. It's all real. And it's all not real on some level. So I woke up at like 3 a.m. probably 2 a.m. because like if I wake up at 3, I'm getting up. Probably about 2 a.m., go to the bathroom. I'm sitting on the toilet. Real talk. And I've been trying to get at something in it's in my reactionary tendencies on a certain topic of like thinking things have to be a certain way. And not always, but I still feel that come up. I've done so much work around this of like perfectionism and overachieving and things have like my way's the best way. Obviously, I don't think that. I definitely don't think that anymore. It's not something I would say, yeah, my way's the best way. I don't even have strong opinions on most anything, really. I still have some. And whatever. But there's just like so much work has been done, and yet I'll notice like when things like come into my awareness of like this feeling that arises that I feel like something has to be a certain way, and it's not even that. Oh, my elbow just popped. It's like this feeling that's that again, it goes back to this not being seen, not being respected, not being considered in like the way I do things for people is like, oh, I want to like save them time. I'm thinking about them. Here, if I'm going to do a task, let me do it to the best of my ability and not leave stuff undone for the next person to have to deal with. Well, obviously, all of this, I just have to say in a nutshell, it obviously goes back to my childhood and all of the conditions of the way I grew up. I know where it comes from. Believe me, I've done so much stuff around this to like unravel it, dismantle it, discharge it, all the things. And believe me, I feel more equanimous in the past year or two than ever. And it still comes up. And I was sitting on the toilet the other morning and God, I don't want to say this. It's so embarrassing. But I'm just going to say it. You know how you know how the toilet paper roll you probably have a preference on which way you like it to go on its little holder. And I've seen memes about this, so that's why I know I'm not alone. But I like it a certain way. I just think it's more efficient in the way our certain thing is set up. The way to grab it is like it's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous, but I like it that way. It feels good. And so I think it wasn't that way. And I know I didn't put it that way. And so in me, what rose up was something. And I was like, gosh, dang it, there it is again. That thing that says, why would they leave it like that? Because I don't like it like that. It's that thing that rose up that felt that triggered that feeling unconsidered, and that's the silliest example. There are other things that are literally like, oh man, a mess was made that I have to clean up in order to just start the thing I was going to do, which brings a bigger feeling. This one I was able to say, well, that's silly, but it's still there. And I immediately, the thing that I inquired about, I must have been awake enough to do some shadow work on the toilet, was this idea of blame. Like, what is like blame doing for me? This idea that I have this outward blaming kind of tendency, and it shows up in a lot of different ways of like, I even blame myself. Like, it's not just outward towards other people, but there's like this blame reaction. And it's like, and then I went into like defense. And today I was contemplating like defensive and offensive feelings, and how most of my life, I felt like I've been on the defense. And then there's this part of me that goes on the offense in the most dysfunctional kind of ways, as like a reactionary thing. So I went into this whole like, what is this tendency to blame for just the silliest things, but in general, just blame. And and blame is like a judgment of right and wrong. It's like judging. There's like this comparison, judging tendency, this blame tendency. And it's not even like, maybe people who know me wouldn't even think that about me. I don't know. But sometimes like it'll rise up and I'll be like, oh, there's something that keeps rising up that I have, that's still like, there must be something left in that inquiry to say, what is that? And so I'm glad I recognized it in the moment, because it really led to some more layers falling away of that thing. And that's why I guess healing is not linear, and it is not always fast, because there have been so many layers to this one that this feels like some in the past of not looking at it. Like, there were all kinds of explosions. Like, I didn't have a pressure release valve, but I feel like those moments on the toilet at 2 a.m. are my pressure release valve. Like, feeling it and then being like, what is this? Seeing it for what it is. Seeing it as this is still here. I don't want this anymore. Let's freaking look at it over and over and over and over and over, and like keep showing up, keep looking, and that is the pressure release valve, so that they don't blow up. And before they blow up into some weird reaction of like, whatever form it takes, like, why can't you just put the toilet paper back? Like, it's so dumb. I honestly don't care if it's turned around. It doesn't bother me, like, to take the toilet paper off in a different direction. It's not like I'm ruminating on it. It's not like, but in that moment there was a thing, and I was just like, oh, where's that? My good old friend again, that feeling. So what is that feeling for you that like when you slow it down, you can really treat it like that pressure release inquiry to say, like, I don't want to explode over this. I don't want to react over this. And it's not always explosions, but, reactions. So that's my little confessional time for my real life example that happened this week. And I felt like I really got some fruit with naming it as blame, right? That the blame, and there was something like that whole defensive offensive thing is because I've always felt like I've been on the defense from childhood of like walking on eggshells and like bracing against the world and can't do anything right, so just be quiet. Children should be seen and not heard, and even that shouldn't be seen either, in some of my childhood. So it's just like, and then so it plays out with like not having this sense of agency or my own, in the world, that if I feel like put down, like put upon, or like things are made just a little bit harder for me when I consider everybody else's needs, because that's how I needed to make safety in my world. But no, I don't get that in return. Then it's like the child in me, the toddler, is just like, wah, So that's what I mean. Do you have any of that in your life that's just like, and you might know where it comes from if you're doing this whole like inquiry into like why I'm the way I am, like where do these things come from? And they usually come from a very logical place like that. Like they're usually very logical when you look closely at them, and you might have to cry the cries, feel the feels first before you see the logic. But then usually those things bubble up and say, oh yes, now I understand why my emotions have been like they felt overwhelming at times, especially the ones that go back to childhood, because in childhood emotions are overwhelming. They do rise up and then they're gone as quickly as they came, right? So where do you feel like that happens for you, or has happened, do you ever feel like a little on the toilet at 2 a.m. where or wherever, still waiting to be fully released? Bye.